You're listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, where you get valuable information you just can't find anywhere else. To thrive in today's trying times, you need the Financial Survival Network, now more than ever. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and get your free newsletter and gift. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.
Welcome. You are listening to watching the Financial Survival Network. I'm your host, Kerry Lutz. Well, is there such a thing as good money or is there bad money? Well, normally I think of good money when I've already lost the bad money, and they say don't put good money after bad. But the author of The Good Money Revolution, How to Make More Money to Do Good, is with us now. Derrick Kinney, a book just came out February 22nd. On Amazon and wherever fine books used to be sold. And Derrick, it's great to have you on the show. So, and you see it's a Wall Street Journal USA Today bestseller, which says something in and of itself. All right, tell us what the Good Money Revolution is all about.
Well, Kerry, thanks for having me with you. It's great to be here. You know, it's interesting. I had a financial planning practice I built for 25 years, and one of the conveying messages I began to hear from people was that they were being told that money was bad, that if you had a lot of money, you were bad, that if you owned a company, you were really the villain in the story because you needed to share all your money with everybody else. And what it was causing was people to be concerned about, well, I don't want to be a bad person or have people reject me or think I'm vile, therefore I just won't make as much money. And I want to counter that cultural message and say to people, look, money is not bad, and that good people should have more good money to do the good work that needs to be done. And what I would ask people is a simple question, very almost philosophical, and that is, would you rather have the bad people in the world, the people oppressing people and the people causing harm to the world and to the causes you care about, or would you rather have the good people have the money who want to make the world better? And I think that decision will then chart what path eventually your life has, whether it's one of meaning or a total lack of fulfillment.
All right. So I remember, I think it was a movie called Boiler Room. Ben Affleck's giving his sales pitch, and he goes, anybody who says they don't care about money doesn't have any, right? Anybody who thinks money is evil probably doesn't have much of it, right?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth in that. It's interesting because oftentimes people say that, you know, a lot of people have more money, but often it's people that have more money than you, that you say have.
Bad people, obviously. Everyone knows that. Right. Come on.
It's really a jealousy issue for most people. So what I tell people is this, look, if you are buying this promise that says once you have $100,000 or once you have $1 million, then you'll be happy, you're actually buying a lie. Now, temporarily, you're going to feel better and you're going to feel like you could do more things, but ultimately that sort of euphoria wears off. But if you can connect cash to a cause, purpose to profits, money to meaning, now suddenly there's a reason, Kerry, to get up, have your business, go to your job, and know that I'm working for a purpose. And when you can tie that then to a cause that you care about, maybe it's, it could be childhood cancer, water, homelessness, something that you just care about as a person, that up until now you've said, do I really have the money or the time to make a difference? This Good Money Revolution is all about encouraging you to go make money, go make a lot of it, but use it for good. That way when your head hits the pillow at night, you've lived a day of meaning that you want to repeat the next day.
All right, I'll buy that. I think there's some truth to that. And so how do you start about this process? It's hard to you're busy, you're trying to support your family, you're trying not to go broke. What do you do?
Well, and let's, take the cat out of the bag here and just call it for what it is. So many people are living a minimum wage life right now, Kerry. And what I define that as is they're settling for the crumbs the government is tossing off the table to them, and they think that's a full meal. And I would tell them is, I want people to have a seat at their table. We talk about this general economy, but all I care about are people's personal economies, making sure that they can put food on the table, they can send their kids to the schools they want to send them to, they can do the things with their family they want to do, but it takes money. And what I would ask people is, if you want 2023 to be a better year financially than 2022, do you feel like you should keep doing the same things, or we need to do something different? And if you vote for different, then the strategy I would give you is this. If you're working for someone right now, for those listeners that may be in a 9-to-5 job, and maybe you like it, maybe you don't, but you're settling for that 4% raise every single year, here's a way to make more money. And the way is that you want to begin adding more value so that you become more valued. And I'll tell you a quick story. A woman came into my office a couple years back, and she said, Derrick, I am tired of my company. I feel overworked, overlooked, underappreciated. I want to change jobs. I want to make more money. And I said, Debbie, if you would, let's do an experiment and just be patient with me and let's test this. And I said, in your role, she was the administrative assistant at a small engineering firm, about 10 people. And I said, why don't you write out 3 things? In your current job, how can you increase sales? How can you reduce expenses? And how can you help grow the business? And we began to brainstorm some things. And one of the ideas that she landed on that had the highest probability of success was her boss would always complain to her about he was overworked and didn't have time to bring in new business. And so Debbie told her boss, was thinking about this plan to tell her boss of, hey, why don't you give me the bottom 25% of the client base, let me begin being the contact, and then you then have 25% more capacity to bring in new business. So she goes to her boss, well prepped, ready to go. Her boss loves the idea and actually says to her what a joy it is to have someone working at a company who actually thinks like an entrepreneur, okay? So that gave her some confidence. And over the next 6 months, her increase of salary was about $20,000 because she got a piece of all the new business that she brought in from those customers. Then she said, there was one salesperson at the company responsible for bringing in all the new business, and it was pretty slow then. She said, what if you empower all 10 of us in the company to bring in leads? And if we do, give a lead to our sales vice president, and it turns into a real client and there's business generated, then give that person a sizable bonus because of all they brought into the company. Well, her boss loved that idea because it was zero risk. And suddenly now there was 10 highly motivated salespeople wanting to grow the company. So the bottom line is, in a moment, Debbie went from I'm ready to leave my job to now she's empowered all in, because by adding more value, she became more valued. And I suspect, unless you're a teacher, a cop, a firefighter, a pilot, some of those occupations, regardless if you're the worst on the job or the best, you're stuck within this unionized salary structure. So that is what it is. But outside of that, you've got a lot of leeway these days because the pendulum has really swung to the power of the employee. The bottom line is, if you're a valuable employee, companies will want to pay you handsomely to keep you, especially if you're helping make them money.
And some companies are like that, but others are very resistant to change and they just don't want to hear it, right?
Don't just survive, thrive. The Financial Survival Network.
Osino Resources is a Ross Beatty-backed gold exploration company in mining-friendly Namibia. Osino's district-scale land package is situated near 2 producing gold mines, one of which Osino's management team previously developed and sold to B2 Gold. Osino's founders and management are experienced mining professionals who have already successfully developed and sold 2 companies in the past 7 years. Osino has an excellent shareholder base, with Ross Beatty owning 20%, insiders 5%, and resource capital funds 8%. This is an exploration company with drills turning that you'll definitely want to pay attention to. Osino trades in New York under the ticker OSIIF and in Toronto under the ticker OSI. To learn more, go to osinoresources.com. That's osinoresources.com.
This is the Financial Survival Network, the information you need to thrive now more than ever.
Well, that's true. And what I would tell people is, even those companies, Kerry, I think are realizing that to compete in this tight job market, they know that they've got to attract high quality talent and they need to retain high quality people. I'll tell you another quick story. A small company I consult with said, Derrick, we're losing people to these other companies who were paid more money, But then, oddly enough, several of them were coming back to that company 6 months later because they said the culture was bad. And they asked me for advice on what could they do. And I began to talk about really bringing a focus group in of those employees who had left and asked them, hey, what is it that caused you to leave in the first place? And what they said was, number one, a lack of flexibility. They wanted more of a hybrid type environment, which has been highly popularized, through COVID. They wanted to be listened to. They wanted to have a forum where if they had an idea, somebody would at least hear them. Didn't mean they had to agree, but at least they were heard. But also they wanted to have a bonus plan that based on if they found a way to make the company money, they wanted to get a piece of it. And those three things helped this company have a sales increase of about 20% the next year, but they also reduced down the number of people leaving to less than 2%. And what they credited it to was a simple restructuring of how they looked at their team, because ultimately it was all about productivity. They realized, look, if you can be as productive at home or at the office, we don't care. We just want to empower you to be fully present and help us grow this business. And what that led was from the very top. And I think, Kerry, that companies of the future are going to be embracing that model because, look, people can make 50 grand, 100 grand anywhere these days, but they're often going to get that typical 4 to 5% raise. People are wanting the money first, but when they peel that back and get used to it, they really want to feel like they're part of something bigger. And if they're making more money and they're part of a cause they care about, if their grandmother, their neighbor, their son, their daughter has an issue that they want to help with, they feel like they're making a difference by adding value and being the person in their family that they want to be.
All right, I'm buying it. I think there's some validity to it. You can't really do this in an environment where the company has a union, though, can you?
No, and like I said earlier, there are some limitations there, but the key is if you still want to make money, then you've got to make choices. So what I would not tell people is, well, listen, because you're part of a union, then you just can't make any more money. What you're limited to is the money that you're making where you're at right now. But if you choose to stay there, which I get it, you might have been there quite a while and there's some golden handcuffs or a pension. Now you've got to look at how can I make money outside of my full-time job? And so one of the biggest questions I get asked is, Derrick, how do I start a side hustle? How do I begin a side gig? And so many people, Kerry, want to overcomplicate this. I had a couple come in the office recently and they said, Derrick, we've got about $20,000 of debt. We want to aggressively pay it off. They were both working full-time, but they knew they needed to make more money, but didn't know how. And one of them was going to go back to school to get a different degree, to launch a side business, doing computer consulting. I said, look, make this easy on yourself and just ask yourself this question. In the normal course of your day, what problem do your coworkers, friends, and family most typically ask you to help them solve? Is it proofreading papers? Is it organizing an event? Is it doing their website? Is it coaching? Is it teaching, training? And they began to realize that both of them were really good at coaching. And so what they began to do was they began to coach lessons for kids with soccer on the side, both bringing in quite a bit of money, but it was easy. It was a skill they already had. People knew that they had the skill, and it brought referrals in very, very quickly. They could do it in the evenings and on the weekends. So again, when it comes to making money, I think culture has taught us, and maybe it's the industry, that making money is so complicated. Only the exclusive few have access to this key that unlocks the great money secrets. And what I find is just ask yourself, what am I good at? What do people know that I'm good at? And then what can I charge them for to add value to their lives? If you do that, you'll make money very, very quickly. And this couple was able to knock down half of their $20,000 in the first year and got real aggressive and paid the rest of it off within 6 months the second year because they got focused on, here's a way to add value.
Oh, it sounds really good, and it sounds like it could be very effective. Somebody interested in this, where do you start? How do you make an evaluation, figure out how to implement this program?
The bottom line is to get started. And what I would suggest people do is just on a simple note card is write down, what is my income goal for this year? Because once you know the what, then it's a question of the how. So let's say that you've made $75,000 for the past 5 years, but I want to make $100,000 in 2023. Well, you're going to have to do something different. So you got to write down then, here's my goal by this date. And it's important, Kerry, to tie in what I call a negative stake to it, meaning that what would happen negatively if I don't achieve that $100,000 goal? For example, I met with a woman recently that said, Derrick, I've got to pay off this $10,000 of debt by next year, or I will not be able to have the money to send my daughter to college. Well, that was compelling enough for her to say, look, I have to make this happen, or my daughter will not have the opportunities I want her to have. You see, when there's a stake tied to it, suddenly it becomes much more focused and important to you. So now once you say, I want to make $100,000, now the question is, I know I'm going to make 75 in my current job. Now we want to figure out an action plan of in your current role, do you have the capability to increase sales, reduce expenses, and grow the business? And if so, identifying those pieces. And then second of all, looking at what could be a side hustle or a side gig, or to make it easy, even just a part-time job that you could get in the evenings or the weekends. Now, I'm not saying, Kerry, that this is going to be easy or everyday fun, okay? But when people get focused on, I've got to do this to get myself in a better financial position, I think all of us have endured a level of pain to then enjoy the gain that it provides for us. And so what I like to do, and the purpose of the book, Good Money Revolution, is to be an encouragement and to offer hope for people that people are making money right now. And in addition to all of that, which makes it more palatable, that by taking a portion of what you're making and giving it, whether it's to your church or a cause that you care deeply about, you're going to feel better because you're not just feeling good about yourself working hard, but you're helping make other people's lives better. And that's really where true meaning and fulfillment really come from.
I like it. All right. It's really been great having you on here, Derrick. Just tell us where we find you, what your website is, and how we get the book.
Yeah, Kerry. So actually, we're giving away the first 5 chapters of the book for free. I want to get this message into as many people's hands as possible because it can help them make the money they deserve. They can go to this website, goodmoneychapters.com, goodmoneychapters.com. That downloads the first 5 chapters for free. Also, the book is sold on Amazon, everywhere you want to buy it, but I encourage at a minimum to take advantage of the first 5 chapters. It'll get you on the right track. And also, people can go to our website at goodmoneyframework.com to learn more about how we're helping people make and invest more money.
All right. Hey, we appreciate that. Thank you so much for coming on. Got a question for Derrick? Shoot us an email at kl@kerrylutz.com. FinancialSurvivalNetwork.com is the site. Sign up for your free newsletter. Derrick, been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Kerry. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, your solution to today's trying times. For the latest, go to FinancialSurvivalNetwork.com. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.